take and that be it. I'm done. Yo, I let it bleed. No smut on my name, my record clean. Oh, the stain, I wore my heart on my leather sleeve. Go switch up the weather, please. Official like referees. Got mine at 17. And stripes, you dig. I been bout it, come from it. It's life, my niggas. Just live, you can't run from it. The guns do pop, the funds do stop. The woes get worse. Be grateful for ones you got. Cause if they don't love you the same way they love Tupac. No one running, no one care who shot you. I'm back in my zone. Weight on my shoulder, been cracking my bones. Make up a play on the fly like Patrick Mahomes. Tap in with me, I got it like that. Shit, I'm probably in the shade with a diamond cush pack, blow my problems in the air, then write a few raps thinking back. 03, D-Block pulled up, X to the Z. Get your walk on, get your head tight. The mama turn your boss up, get your bread right. Buck 20 down the crossroad with no headlights, screaming money ain't a thing, blowing through the red lights. Slow it down, get your walk on, get your head tight. Don't trip, pick your loss up, get some insight. Buck 20 down the crossroad, no headlights, screaming money ain't a thing, blowing through the red lights.
KBLA Talk 1580. It's a Wealth Building Wednesday, so taste more of that Miles Low music for you right now. Miles Low music wherever you get your music. And I'm so pleased to welcome into the studio, speaking of real artists that are not just doing content, but are making a difference and have their artistry at a high level. Welcoming into the studio the artistic director, one of the co-founders of the Robey Theater Company. He's an accomplished artist on screen, on stage, and certainly with the Robey Theater Company, which is our premier African-American theater here in Southern California and notable nationwide as well. Ben Guillory, welcome.
Thank you, Dominic. Glad to be here once again.
Yeah, great to have you here in person in 3D. And congratulations, yet another show opening this month at the Robey.
On Saturday.
This week.
In about 4 days. We're going to previews tomorrow night and previews Thursday, Friday. We open Saturday, November 11th at the LATC, the Los Angeles Theater Center downtown, where we've been for almost 20 years now.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Now, Ben, people may have seen you on screen as an actor. They may have seen you on stage, but you wear a lot of hats for Robey. On this particular show, which is called The Talented 10th, mm-hmm.
You're
director
yes,
and actor.
Yes.
And producer.
Yes.
Yeah. Talk to me about that.
Well, I'm the hands-on producing artistic director of the company for the past 30 years since its inception, since its founding in 94. And so every now and then there's something that comes along in one of the productions that we're doing that is right for a guy like me as an actor. So that fills that slot. And I do a lion's share of the directorial chores as well, because it simply... Our mission statement is to produce and develop works about the Black experience and reinterpret Black classics. This particular play, The Talented 10th by Richard Wesley, comes under that ladder, producing and reinterpreting Black classics, because it was written in the 80s. And it's still, when you see it, you'll see it is still very, very pertinent today. And Richard Wesley is a really consummate artist. He's been around since the 70s and has written so much work, film and television. But to the point, our mission statement compels me to be in the driver's seat often so that we can remain in the lane of producing and developing Black work, new Black work based out of our Playwrights Lab, which meets 3 times a year, spring, summer, and fall, 10-week sessions, developing new plays, developing new playwrights, and we produce many of those plays. A advanced scene study workshop where we develop new actors. Those actors land in those plays often. And reaching out to the community, developing the relationship that we have developed with the community. And so, and I like it.
There's that.
There's that part.
That's always a good point. I mean, the mission, of Robey Theater, which you founded with your friend and colleague Danny Glover many years ago. Is it 30?
Almost there.
Almost 30 years ago. You stated it is presenting classics and developing new works by Black writers. It's really about this, what's become somewhat of a cliche of changing the narrative, right?
Well, yes, or correcting the narrative, maybe even a more accurate way of putting it. Because for so long, as you know, for so long, our stories have been told by others. And sometimes that has worked, but often through a prism that has not the sensibility that we have because we live it every day. And our whole cultural memory is intact because we live it every day, because we don't have a choice. Even if we want it, we don't have a choice. Those who have told our stories in the past often get it wrong, often for the wrong reasons. Sometimes, yes, it works, as I said, and always dangerous using general and blanket statements.
Yeah, for sure.
But it needs to be told by us. That's what W.E.B. Du Bois said. Theater should be by us, for us, by us, and about us.
Right.
And W.E.B. Du Bois came into play in this specific production, The Talented Tenth, because I'm sure, as you know, his theory about 10% of an ethnic community should be that leadership. That 10% should be the most intelligent, the most educated.
Which a lot of people consider that elitism, of course.
Yes, and he did too. He finally abandoned that tact after a while. But he was W.E.B. Du Bois, and those of us who know about W.E.B. Du Bois know about the whys of all of that.
Yeah.
You know.
Not the least of which is a very stubborn person, apparently.
Very stubborn, in actually a very positive way, and in that professorial Berlin University educator and scholar, philosopher, just incredible mind, just an incredible mind. But the play speaks to that theory. The play, in short, without being a spoiler and giving it all away, is about a group of Black people who at one time had a militancy of mind when they were young. Fast forward 20 years, they have now evolved into what is known as the American dream. Now, depending on who you're talking to, right?
Evolved or devolved.
Right. And one in particular, the character of Bernard, wants to go back to the idealism that he felt as a young man because he is unfulfilled. Even though he has accumulated all the prizes of the American dream, the house, the career, the family, all of those things, he wants to represent something larger than himself. And so the play tracks how he tries to retrieve that idealism. And I'll leave it there.
Well, I mean, it's an interesting conversation, though, because we were talking yesterday on this show, and if you missed it, you can listen to the podcast anywhere you get your podcast. We were talking with Kareem Webb, who is an entrepreneurial activist or an activist entrepreneur. And so the question becomes, do you have to choose? Do you have to choose between accumulating things and, getting the American dream and being about the greater good and having that idealism of the people right now today while we're talking in these streets worldwide about the situation in the Middle East, about Black lives, about women's agency over her own body and all of these issues. Do we have to choose? Do we have to be, okay, no, I'm going to be bad and bougie, or I'm going to be, dedicated to my community?
Well, again, when we speak in generalities,
right.
When we go to specificity, it's how we're wired. It's how an individual is wired, what they find truly, truly important and of value, their definitions of importance in life and their values.
And
of
our
life.
definition of success, right?
Success.
As defined by who?
By who?
Right.
Yes, by who? I think, an opinion that evolved in me is that it evolves. What we find important, what we begin to value or develop a value for, starts, when you got a few miles on you like I do, right? Been around a while. You start to understand some things and you start to change it. And somehow, sometimes, the values that you had early on that were completely idealistic, maybe even unrealistic, you go back to them because they are worth it.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I remember Jim Brown used to talk about this concept of the righteous elders, the elders that haven't sold out. And because you can get wiser and become, more measured, but you can also be fearful and decide, well, I got to get mine before it's too late, or I don't want to deal with that smoke anymore. So I'm just going to, be mealy-mouthed.
Well, careful, cautious,
Right.
scared.
Absolutely. Better words. Okay, better words.
And this is life.
But I've known you for a minute, and I don't perceive you to be getting more conservative or more moderate as the years go by.
No,
I don't
no.
see
In
that
fact,
happening.
I'm going the other way.
Yeah,
to
that's
tell
what
you
I
the
was
truth.
going to say.
This, especially again for us as a people, for people of color, for black people, there is, I don't think, a compromise available. Yes, one has to be cautious because you have to live to fight another day. But it's in the play. There is always the struggle. There's a line in the play that talks about it's the first 7 generations that must suffer the most. They are the ones who will have nothing to look forward to except struggle.
The first 7
generations after slavery.
After our enslavement.
After slavery. First 7 generations after slavery are the ones who must suffer the most, the ones who have nothing to look forward to except struggle to get us where we've gotten, where we have all landed. Those people that we stand on their shoulders, like W.E.B. Du Bois, like
Paul Robeson,
like Malcolm, like Martin, like Zora Neale Hurston, like God, so many. They have fought the good fight, and we are still fighting the good fight. There is no real time to relax. If we relax, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, maybe 2, maybe more. So we have to stay focused, have to stay motivated, which is not very difficult if you are a person of color, because you walk out into this world every day and you feel it. There are those who ignore it or choose not to deal with it because of, again, the way they're wired. We can only fight so much, and otherwise, the trauma, the continuous trauma of living as a person of color in this country, this could prove to be really disastrous, fatal emotionally, fatal mentally, and perhaps even, you saw our play, the Heated Discussion, which was about all of that, all of the murders by the authorities with impunity that happen on a monthly, weekly, almost daily basis. You know, that play was actually spurred by George Floyd, and we watched his murder, his complete execution in real time.
Yeah.
And to live with that continually is daunting. That's probably one of the correct words to describe that.
Yeah. We're talking with Ben Guillory. He is the artistic director of the Robey Theater Company. The play he's referring to, The Talented Tenth, opens Saturday at the LATC downtown Los Angeles. Continuing the conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580. Environmental justice, pollution, and climate. In Los Angeles and across America, people of color are suffering and dying from disproportionate health impacts on a planet that has less than 10 years to prevent irreversible damage. Heat illnesses, respiratory illnesses, water-related illnesses, food system impacts, insect-related diseases, black maternal health, and mental health effects. As the impacts of climate change mount, millions of vulnerable people, our people, are going to bear the brunt of these extreme environmental events, which will likely lead to forced displacement, loss of cultural identity, and other related risks. These realities are as real as rain. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details about the most progressive multimedia and live events campaign any black media outlet has ever undertaken to combat the climate catastrophe. Experts, events, empowerment. It's all on the way from unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We don't black down. We level up.
Level up, 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 level up.
Here's to Prilosec OTC. Without Prilosec, I wouldn't be able to enjoy all this yummy holiday food. Speaking of whoever made that apple pie, delicious. I just take one pill each morning and zero heartburn all day. So cheers to Prilosec OTC. Ooh, are those jalapeno poppers?
Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid that can cause heartburn, so you can enjoy the holidays. One pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Shop Black Friday every day and get the best new deals all month long only at Lowe's. Right now, save up to $800 on select major appliances, plus save an extra $100 on select laundry pairs. And there's more. Bring home pre-lit artificial Christmas trees starting at $49, because Lowe's knows deals. Valid through 10/31. Appliance savings vary based on purchase amount. Exclusions apply. While supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for details.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
We're talking with the co-founder, CEO, and producing artistic director of the Robey Theater Company, Ben Guillory. Ben Guillory, a theater veteran and actor, director, and producer. And the latest show is The Talented Tenth, written by Richard Wesley. It sounds like it's going to be an amazing piece. It is at 514 South Spring Street, the LA Theater Company, and you can get tickets at therobeytheatercompany.org, and you have to spell theater R-E, like the fancy way. therobeytheatercompany.org. And actually, you have a pair that you're going to be...
For opening night.
For opening night,
For
wow,
opening
fancy,
night
fancy.
this Saturday, yes.
That's when all the stars come out.
And we have a reception following. And it's a big night.
You get to meet the actors. You get to meet Mr. Guillory.
Mm-hmm.
It's really fun.
And we also have 4 tickets for any other night.
Okay, so keep it locked. We'll let you know how to win. You get a chance to win before the show is over today, before we pass the microphone to Tavis Smiley, who comes on right after this.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Guillory, when what you were expressing about the state of the world and being black in the world was really powerful. And these are incredibly tough times in some ways. I was talking about it yesterday. please, people, take care of yourself. I find watching the death and destruction in the Gaza, I've been having nightmares. And I read a lot of terrible news all the time, and I don't usually get nightmares from it. So I worry about people. That said, the arts play an important and unique role in these kinds of times, right? How do you see that?
Social consciousness is what drives the Robey Theater Company and drives me. And I think most of the artists that we have relationships with, that we work with, that we support over the years, social consciousness was the inspiration from Paul Robeson, his social consciousness. For those who don't know, and there are still plenty who don't know who Paul was and what he stood for. He was not only a consummate Renaissance man, which is another general statement, but this guy, he spoke and sang in 20 languages. He was an attorney when the American Bar Association did not allow Negroes into the American bar. He and Roland Hayes lifted what was then called darky spirituals into a place where it was taken as serious music. His entrance into the theater, ushered in by his wife, who should be truly the woman behind the man, Eslanda Cardoza Good. She introduced him to the theater, managed his singing career for most of their relationship, for most of their years together, and brought him to a place where he was the most popular artist in the world, not just the most popular black artist, but the most popular artist in the world, late 30s, mid 40s, into the late 40s. There is a mountain named after him in Russia. He had a hand in composing the Chinese national anthem. He made 14 films. That song, Old Man River, it was his mantra. Short story about that, when Jerome Kern and Oscar Hammerstein asked him to be in the show, he said, okay, but we're going to have to work on that song, because originally the lyrics were, niggers all work on the Mississippi, niggers all work while the white folks play. He changed all of that to what he did. So the point is, even then, with all that artistry and making $100,000 a year in 1940, which is like equivalent to several million now, he had everything. All of the prizes of the good life, that fat life, all of the admiration of world leaders admired him. He left this country because they would want him to sing, but he still had to enter in the freight elevator, in the back door. He and his wife went to England, lived there, learned and developed a social consciousness there during the 30s and when Hitler and all of that and the fascism was going on. Point being that he had all of this kind of success, but he still made the conscious choice that he needed to speak out. He had to speak out. He was compelled to speak out. When he was brought in front of the House Un-American Activities Committee, they asked him the question, why don't you go live in Russia since you laud and admire Russia? He said, because my people fought and died for freedom here, and I'm going to stay here and have a part of it just like you. Speaking to the committee chair, Thomas, who ended up being in jail.
Of course, it's reminding me of Rashida Tlaib right now, getting censured by the House for speaking up for Palestinian people as the only Palestinian in the House of Representatives. And so here we are. To me, it's reminding me a lot of McCarthyism and that House Un-American Activities. If you speak your mind and you disagree, that means you're a traitor or you're anti-Semitic or you're a problem.
Not much difference. Not much difference at all. Just a difference in about 70 years.
Yeah, right. Different decade, same tactics. And we got news, traffic, and sports right here. But I want to continue this line on the other side about, the role of the arts in these times, the state of the theater, of your craft when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The White House is brushing up new polling showing President Biden trailing Donald Trump in key battleground states. African-American Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre told reporters polls should be taken with a grain of salt. She pointed to last year's midterm elections, noting a predicted red wave that never materialized. The poll from the New York Times and Siena College shows Trump beating Biden in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, and Pennsylvania. Washington, D.C. is officially welcoming its top cop. Pamela Smith was confirmed as D.C.'s chief of police yesterday. The vote came nearly 4 months after she was nominated and will go down in history. She's the first black woman to ever lead the agency. Council members praised her neighborhood walks and said her leadership style gives the community hope. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. Since 2010, Blindster has sold millions of custom blinds, shades, and shutters to satisfied customers across the country with 20,000 five-star reviews and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Custom blinds at low prices and free shipping. Blindster.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
LeBron has a rematch tonight in Houston with Dylan the Villain Brooks. Brooks signed with Houston in the summer after Memphis let him go. Brooks called LeBron old during their playoff series last season. He was ejected in Game 3 for hitting LeBron below the belt. Brooks is already talking smack. He said he's ready to lock up LeBron. 5 p.m. tip-off. The Clippers are at Brooklyn tonight. Second game for James Harden with the Clippers, 4:30 tip. Virginia Union will play Winston-Salem State in the NBA's HBCU Classic during All-Star Weekend in Indianapolis. The game will be Saturday, February 17th. TNT and ESPN2 will have live coverage. The Rams signed veteran quarterback Carson Wentz, a first-round pick in the 2016 draft. The Rams need a backup quarterback after releasing Brett Ripien on Tuesday. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
The City of Los Angeles Civil Rights Department and its Reparations Advisory Commission are calling on you to be a part of something powerful. Join the Black Experience Study to share your experiences with the City of Los Angeles. We want to hear your stories. To join the study, join a focus group, or schedule an interview with us, visit www.blackexperiencela.com by December 31st. For more information, call 213-978-1845 or visit www.laisforeveryone.com.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser Sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
Don't settle for bumps, ingrowns, and itch due to dry skin. Venus for Pubic Hair and Skin is here with the only razor and regimen specifically designed for your pubic area, featuring a razor with a patented irritation defense bar and skincare regimen that is dermatologist and gynecologist tested. Venus helps protect your pubic skin from shave irritation. Visit GilletteVenus.com to learn more about our full regimen of products.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look, and unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at the gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
You are now in Big Tobacco's fantasy land. Welcome. It's a healthier world where they want you to believe that vaping makes quitting cigarettes a breeze. Never mind the evidence that vaping leads to using both. And if you're younger, even better, teens who vape are 3 times likelier to use cigarettes. In Big Tobacco's fantasy land, the deadliest industry is your friend.
Big Tobacco's idea of smoke-free is a dangerous fantasy for us all. See reality at undo.org.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
He's live with us in studio, so join us on YouTube, KBLA 1580. Please subscribe, like, hit the like button and all that good stuff while you're there. I'm sure you can hear it in his voice, but Mr. Ben Guillory studied at the American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco. It's a famous theater. And while he was there, he appeared in Julius Caesar, The Taming of the Shrew, so many other, The Cherry Orchard, Othello, and so many other pieces. I'm sure you could hear it in his voice in his presentation. Currently co-founder, CEO, and producing artistic director of the Robey Theater Company. Let's give away that pair of tickets for opening night right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see, we'll take caller 15 for 1580 right now at 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. Got one pair of tickets for opening night, and then if you keep listening, we've got a few other pairs of tickets for other nights. But right now we're giving away those opening night tickets for The Talented 10th, written by Richard Wesley, directed by Ben Guillory, at the LA Theater Center, presented by the Robey Theater Company, starting on Saturday, 11/11/23 through 12/10, but go see it now because they tend to sell out. The RobeyTheaterCompany.org if you want to buy tickets. That's Robey Theater with RETHEATRE, Theatra Company. Giving those tickets away right now. I asked you about the state of the art, theater, film, TV, of course. You've worked in all of those mediums. How do you see it, in particular, where it touches Black people?
The kind of work that's being presented now and that we're doing, actually creating, not just being inserted into, but actually creating, is so, the work itself the artistry is so wonderful. And the content is, again, wonderful and important. So that's everything from Netflix to HBO. All of it is, I'm surprised that when I get time to look at it all, what's available to us and what's being developed. Yeah. And again, the content, there is a social consciousness to much of this work because we're doing it. That actually applies to us, but again, somewhat universally. Again, about social consciousness and about Paul Robeson and about, what he stood for and how we try to live in that lane. The Robey Theater Company tries to live in that lane. The work we do has that kind of consciousness, like the Talented 10th or like a heated discussion. All he had to do was keep his mouth shut. Right. Like so many people. If you keep your mouth shut, you're cool. Right. If you talk, if you become popular, if you become famous, then you can say things that you don't even know what you're talking about sometimes, because we hear that too. Yeah, a lot of that. And people will listen and follow you and believe in you. So Paul, celebrity culture was there at that time in the 30s and 40s, was there. He would talk after his concerts and during his touring. He would talk after his concerts. The press would come, and because he was Paul Robeson, world-renowned, he would talk about racism. They would ask that invariable question, is Jim Crow alive and well in America? Is it as they say it is? Racism is rampant. And he wouldn't bite his tongue. He would say, of course, yes, it is, and more. Pretty soon the State Department got wind of that, and they sent him a couple of guys, pay him a little visit, and said, Paul, just sing. Like, what was that person who said, just
Shut
dribble?
up and dribble, yeah. Yeah, I think it was Laura Ingraham. Mm-hmm.
And, of course, being Paul, he's, no, I'm not. And that's when the heat started. And Hoover started following him, and he started being questioned because he believed in scientific socialism. He was never a communist. He was never a card-carrying communist, which is what they accused him of. And it wasn't even illegal. So, but he believed in scientific socialism, also simply a humanitarian. That was the bottom line of what he believed in, what he fostered, what he promoted, what he talked about. The brotherhood of man. This is what he stood for. The Robey Theater Company tries, and I think every now and then we hit it right, to reflect that in our work. The artists that we have working within the Talented 10, Sterling Bradley, Tiffany Cody, Tiffany's done 4 productions with us now. Rogelio Douglas has done a couple of productions with us. Monty, the same, Monty Escalante. Yeah. Nick Few, the same. Julio Hansen is a pillar of the Robey Theater Company's acting community. And Jessica Obilam, wonderful talent. The cast is up to the play. I was saying to you earlier that the play is dense in its language and in its ideology, and because Richard Wesley had a consciousness that was honed at Howard University, honed by the civil rights movement. This is what he talks about in the play. And he's good at it. You know, he's really an artist in the truest sense of the word, a very socially conscious artist, the kind of artist that, you know, there's a place for everything. You had asked that question about the state of, and I always kind of hesitate. I'm not sure about the entire state of the arts, because it's individual groups of artists that roll up their sleeves and go to work. And there's a place for just about everything in the arts. Where we land, what lane we try to stay in, is, again, that socially conscious place. The way of the culture here in America, in the United States, I don't think the theater arts are valued as much as they should be, or supported as much as they should be and need to be. The arts reflect our souls, feed our souls. This is what the arts do. They're mirrors of our lives, how we communicate with each other, the values, the ups and downs, the humor of the human race. All of those things are encompassed in the arts, in the theatrical art, made, and in theater, it's live. There is nothing like that.
Just like live talk radio, it is what it is.
Yes.
Let's see what somebody can really do.
And there is no place, quote, to conceal anything. Especially in the theaters.
Filters.
No, especially in the theaters that we work in. We're in very intimate spaces. Yeah. We have a 65 to 70 seat house. The audience is about 6 feet from the actors. maybe even less sometimes, depending on the staging, depending on the set, and depending on performances. So what you get is what you get. I had one. We had an exchange of audience with the Taper, the Center Theater group, a few years ago, and they sent over their audience, and we sent over our audience to them. Their audience came in, and you know what their audience is. It's a very white audience. It's a very white, basically West Side audience.
Right.
They came to our black box, and we had a Q&A afterwards. And one of the audience members stood up and she said, "Do you always work in a theater this small? How do you do that? How do you actors work in a theater this small where you're so close to the audience?" And what it was, most audiences come to the theater and they are safe because they're in the audience. They're engaged, but they're not in it.
They're engaged from a distance, yeah.
Yes. Safe distance. That's the operative word.
And also it's dark back there, right? Yeah.
It's supposed to be safe. But she was so close and not used to being so close, being at the Taper where you're, 30 feet, 40 feet away or in the balcony. She wasn't used to being amongst, first of all, so many black people.
Yeah, and you're in the middle of the action.
In the middle of the action. And the audience is very different, as you know. The black audience, it's a back and forth. It's call and response at times. And she was very put off and anxious about all of that. Just very surprised and about. Anyway, it was just an example of we do want to engage the audience. We want the audience to be part of it, in it. That has been part of how we design the production.
Yeah. Well, look, in this age of experiences over objects, that's the perfect time to go see The Talented Tenth, written by Mr. Richard Wesley, directed by Ben Guillory at the LA Theater Center. And we are going to give away another pair of tickets right now. Is that okay? Yeah, another pair of tickets for another day. Take caller 15 right now, 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. You can see the play. It opens this weekend. If you want to just skip the phone call, go to robeytheatercompany.org and buy tickets. I'm Dominique DePrima, and you're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
At Susan G. Komen, we believe that ending breast cancer needs all of us working together. Because if you've just been diagnosed and don't know where to turn, we've got you. If you can't afford the treatment you need, we've got you. And if you are driven to honor the loved one you've just lost, we have a place for you here. Because of you, we're supporting those who need help today while tirelessly searching for tomorrow's cures. Visit Komen.org and be a part of our Susan G. Komen community today.
Meet LA's most affordable health plan. This open enrollment season, LA Care Covered is proud to offer the lowest cost health plans in Los Angeles County, featuring zero cost preventive services to help you achieve your wellness goals. Be part of the region's largest HMO network, featuring UCLA Health, Optum, and allied physicians without breaking the bank. We are here to help. Call us at 855-222-4239 for enrollment assistance. That's 855-222-4239. LA Care Covered. Your wellness, our mission.
Los Angeles, black men are dying from preventable health causes and diseases, but you can be part of the solution. Join us Saturday, November 11th at the Michelle and Barack Obama Sports Complex next to Dorsey High for the African American Male Wellness 5K Walk and Run. Walk for your brother, walk for your father, walk for your son, walk for your uncle, walk for yourself. This is a free, family-friendly event for the entire community. We'll have free health screenings, vendors, kids' activities, and more. We'll see you at 8 a.m.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Happy holidays, foodies! Les Affairs is your local Black-owned event planning and catering service you can trust to provide a Thanksgiving free of the holiday scaries. Find us at lesaffairsevents.com. No grocery shopping in this haunting economy, laboring over a burning stove or battling the boogeyman, the dishes. Spooky season's over. Let Les Affairs cater your feast. Order from our selection of meats and sides delivered Thanksgiving Eve. Next day, heat, eat, and enjoy. Learn more at lesaffairsevents.com or Instagram at lesaffairsevents, LESAFFAIRESEVENTS. Bon appetit!
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
You belong here, and we're so glad you are here. I'm so happy to have Ben Guillory live in studio. We're on YouTube right now. The show, The Talented 10th, I think we've got one more pair of tickets to give away. It's written by Richard Wesley, directed by Ben Guillory, who's also in it. That's a treat because you don't act in every single one of the shows. No. Yeah. In fact, a lot of them you don't. It's at the LA Theater Center, 514 South Spring Street. Opens on Saturday. And you can buy tickets at therobeytheatercompany.org, therobeytheatercompany.org. You can win a pair right now, 800-920-1580. We're going to take caller 15 again, 800-920-1580. Want to give congratulations to Ed E.J. Johnson, who won a pair of tickets, Koti Kwanfa, and Rosie Yon. They're coming to the show.
On Saturday?
Well, we have one pair on Saturday, and then we have a couple other days, I believe.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so we'll have some of the KBLA delegation in the audience.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday is an 8 o'clock curtain. Sunday is a matinee, and most Sundays, 2 Sundays have already sold out.
Wow, that's great.
Because it's an afternoon matinee, and there are so many of us that like to travel in the daytime.
Also, you're going to be dark on Thanksgiving, right?
Yes.
There'll be no show on this. But are you doing the Friday after?
Absolutely.
Okay,
That's
something to do on the
rest of
so-called
that weekend, Friday, Saturday,
Get
Sunday.
blackety black on Black Friday with the Robey Theater Company. Before we run out of time, I do want to go a little deeper into some of the things that you do besides the plays, which is, training the actors, training the writers, creating a pipeline. I mean, you talk about telling our stories and us telling our stories. You're not just doing that, you're also enabling and empowering the artists to do so.
Well, when I came in 83, there was one black theater company in Los Angeles. There were over 200 theater companies in Los Angeles, but there was one black. There were, I think, 3 Asian. There were almost a dozen Latino theater companies. There was a what is now called physically impaired, and there was a blind theater company in Los Angeles. But there was only one black theater company. It was in Inglewood Park, that on a slant, that when it rained, the theater flooded out. I went to a few productions. There was the actors, the playwrights were all people of color, black, but they had not been trained, really, and didn't know some things that artists should know that work in the theater. And I thought, well, nobody's really looking at that and really trying to set up a program where we could evolve as artists. And fast forward to 94, Danny and I We knew
Danny
each other.
Glover. Yeah.
Danny Glover and I, we knew each other before we were actors. We grew up in San Francisco together, and then we started doing work in the theater together. And we had a lot of talks about, well, we couldn't find the kind of work that we wanted to do. Because, again, that whole mainstream community of theater was Anglo. And they weren't, this was before it was politically correct to have colorblind casting or what is
right,
now.
and that still rarely happens, whether it's correct or not.
Anyway, we talked about we wanted to do a certain kind of work, and when we get flush and when things start going our way, we'll start our own theater company so that we could do the kind of work we wanted to do and work with the kind of actors and take the time. That was a really big factor. Take the time in training and acclimating and giving artists the time to evolve at their own rate. And not a feel-good session, but really push artists to, yes.
I'm laughing. I've never taken an acting class that was a feel-good session, and I've taken many. No, they're wonderful, but they're not feel-good sessions. Yeah,
and they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be. They shouldn't be that kind of self-indulgence. And so, one of the things when we started the Robey Theater Company, I've taught for decades now, acting. And so we started the advanced scene study program that meets 3 times a year, spring, summer, and fall, 10-week sessions. And on a Monday night from 7 to 10, we work on scenes only, not audition pieces. It's not about the industry. It's about the craft. Because you know, Dominic, that most actors spend more time looking for work than they do doing work, and they need a place to really hone craft, to continue to get in the rhythm of the work, and that's what the workshop provides. It's not really for beginners, but it's a workshop in the truest sense. The lab, the playwrights lab that meets the same 3 times a year, spring, summer, and fall.
For 10 weeks.
For 10 weeks, Saturday mornings, now through Zoom. Because of the pandemic, we had to revert to Zoom, and that whole culture has found a place in the theater because we have playwrights from England, from other states, from Australia that are working with us. So for 3, Reginald Edmond, 3 sessions a year, works with playwright. He's a dramaturg and a playwright himself. And we develop the playwrights and their work and produce that work. Levy Lee Simon, who is a consummate playwright, who we've produced a half a dozen of his plays, including the last Heated Discussion, has given a master class for the Playwrights Lab. Reginald is a wonderful, wonderful teacher. We've produced out of there Birdland Blue, a Heated Discussion, the Magnificent Dunbar Hotel, and other plays over the years and during our festivals. And so this is all, again, through a sensibility of people of color. Because, like you said, I went through the American Conservatory Theater. They didn't know what to do with us. They didn't really know what to do with actors of color.
Yeah, I definitely would have graduated from San Francisco State a lot faster if there were plays, because we had to do a play to graduate, and there were no roles for black women. So I was like, do. They finally had to do for colored girls. They put us all in it, and we were all able to graduate.
That's in the 70s, okay.
No, we're not in the 70s. They were in the 80s.
No.
But still, same thing. Yeah. Woman in Blue, by the way. Anyway,
you're the woman in blue.
Woman in Blue.
All right.
But it's great to see you, and I really do encourage folks to go see the show, because Robey Theater Company is one of the longest running black-owned theater companies in Los Angeles, and the level of quality is just excellent. I commend you on the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
RobeyTheaterCompany.org, theRobeyTheaterCompany.org, and you got to write THEATRE. You'll get tickets. I'll see you there. I will definitely be there. Once again, thank you, Ben, and thanks for your support of KBLA as well.
Appreciate you, Dominique.
Ben Guillory. Tavis Smiley is up next. He's got a great show on deck for you. As you know, I'll see you on social media. KBLA 1580 on all the platforms. DePrima Radio on all the platforms. Please like, follow, subscribe, argue, support, all those good things. I appreciate you. The quote is back. I'm dipping into something Ben Guillory said because I love that. He said, it's not about the industry. It's about the craft. And praying for the craft as the SAG-AFTRA talks continue today. History is now, and we're making it together. I'm Dominique DePrima. Until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The White House is brushing off new polling showing President Biden trailing Donald Trump in key battleground states. African-American Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre told reporters polls should be taken with a grain of salt. She pointed to last year's midterm elections, noting a predicted red wave that never materialized. The poll from the New York Times and Siena College shows Trump beating Biden in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, and Pennsylvania. Washington, D.C. is officially welcoming its top cop. Pamela Smith was confirmed as D.C.'s chief of police yesterday. The vote came nearly 4 months after she was nominated and will go down in history. She's the first black woman to ever lead the agency. Council members praised her neighborhood walks and said her leadership style gives the community hope. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. Since 2010, Blindster has sold millions of custom blinds, shades, and shutters to satisfied customers